Good afternoon, and welcome to another ironic introduction to another video. Today, I'll be talking about what we'll be seeing in Act 6, Chapter 2. And as you know, I'm a newer player, so I actually don't have access to this, but I'm sure there are many of you out there who will have access to this, and if you have the roster, we'll hopefully be completing it. So we see Embracing Guidance. They have some nice story here. I'm going to give you a moment to go ahead and pause this if you'd like to read up on the lore. Unfortunately, I'm not here in the story yet, and so for me, this lore means nothing. Okay, and your time to pause is over now. We will see this release come in June 12th. And like there was in Chapter 1, you will have an opportunity to score a Legends title, and you will receive that in Chapter 2 by 100% exploring all quests in the chapters, and you will have until July 12th at 10 a.m. PDT to log a time. The Legends Run rewards are really juicy. For rank 1 through 5, you will get 10 Tier 5 Class Catalyst Fragment Crystals, 22,500 Tier 5 Basic Catalyst Fragments, and 2 Tier 2 Alpha Catalysts, something I think a lot of people will be going for, especially if you have a stockpile of units held up because you're a veteran player. Additionally, rank 6 through 100 will get roughly half those rewards, and when I say roughly, I mean literally half the rewards. In the top 40 summoners, which is weird why they set it up like that, will receive a new 6-star champion that has never been owned by any summoner. My guess is probably it would be like Karina or some kind of release that we should expect halfway through the month, as we are expecting the Invisible Woman and Namor. Like, it would be really cool if this is where they introduce Mr. Fantastic, because I think that would be kind of like a clever way to introduce the 4th Fantastic Four, unless they intend to release him at a later date. And again, keep in mind that this is where they are introducing the class and rarity gates. So as juicy as those rewards are, it is unfortunate that they're pumping out such a high reward when the rarity gates and class gates are so heavy. My opinion of the gates was that they were relatively fair, but when you're putting out an early start reward, it doesn't feel as fair to me. Just because I know how limiting those resources are in the end. I definitely think that's something that Kabam, well, it's a cash grab, and this is just something I've kind of accepted with the game, so we'll brush over it for now, as frustrating as it is. Should be noted that there are going to be 5 new global buffs, which, you know, we shouldn't be surprised from, as that should be fairly standard with every new chapter, and each quest features one of these buffs to test your skills. So first up is Life Cycle. The defender is immune to damage from debuffs, and has a shield that prevents them from being knocked out. If the shield is not already disabled, knocking down the defender disables it for 0.5 seconds. Each time the shield is disabled, its downtime is increased by 0.5 seconds, up to a maximum of 3.5 seconds. Every hit that would knock the defender out while the shield is active heals 10% of their max health. So this is something where you really got to be mindful of. As you bring them down, you're going to want to start landing heavies, maybe repeating special ones. It's definitely not difficult to knock someone down. I think that the easiest way to probably handle this is to get like a nice combo into a special 2, and then they'll be knocked down. They will heal up a little bit, but then you will have an open window to hit them again. Another option would be to combo into a parry, into a heavy attack, and then use your special 3 to end the fight while you have that small window, similar to the way people handed Nameless Thanos when they did Intercept into special 3 for free damage because of the short damage window. But I don't think building up to the 3.5 second window will be difficult. I think this is a nice way to extend fights and a clever way to add difficulty to the game. Backblast. The attacker's critical damage is doubled. However, if damage from a critical hit exceeds 5% of the defender's max health, or the attacker lands 4 or more guaranteed crits throughout the fight, the attacker suffers from an Incinerate debuff, dealing damage equal to their last crit over 5 seconds. This one, well, you know what? This one is very champion specific. It very much is like people will have to generate a list of champions that will get wrecked by Backblast. Like, Backblast, do not bring X, Y, and Z. Right off the bat, I can say Corvus Glaive, Ghost. You probably can't bring Call Obsidian to this, just because of how much damage his crits do. You probably, there are others. You can't bring Wasp, probably, and that's just a handful. and or you just respond by bringing someone who's Incinerate immune and just ignore the node completely. Not that there's a whole lot of that, but that does exist in the game. Next up is Icarus. When the defender is struck by an attack or stunned by a parry, the attacker gains a Fury buff, granting 10% attack rating for 10 seconds. If the attacker gains more than 8 Fury buffs in this way, or one of these Fury buff expires, the attacker is inflicted with a degeneration effect, dealing 100% of the defender's attack over 4 seconds. If the attacker lands a heavy attack, their Fury buffs are removed with no penalty. Okay, so 10 seconds. So essentially, you're going to be alternating between a 5-hit combo or maybe a 2 and a 3-hit combo and a couple of those, followed by a heavy attack. Other options for handling this node would be probably Hulk Ragnarok because of his face me mechanic. People with low attack rating but high crit chance, so I'm having trouble thinking of that, but that's one option. Or champions, again, other champions who do like bleed effects, etc., because they tend to have lower attack ratings but deal their damage in the form of DOTS, or damage over time. This one seems a little more interesting. I think this adds a lot of complexity to the game, and I'd like to see who they put on this kind of a node before I have any commentary on that, is because depending on who they put on this node, this could be an incredibly frustrating fight. Like, if they stuck a MODOK on this node, I feel like that would be really challenging, because then you're interacting with both a 10-second interval as well as the 7-second interval. Other things I think would make this challenging are like a Void or an Iron Man Infinity War, anyone where you have to worry about other timing mechanics that would throw off your comboing. Next is destructive feedback. At the start of the fight, the defender gains a kinetic shield, preventing them from taking damage for 10 seconds. While the shield is active, all damage dealt by the attacker, excluding damage from special 3 attacks, is stored. When the shield expires, the defender takes all stored damage. However, if the damage makes contact with the attacker, the damage is reflected onto them instead. When the shield expires, there's a 15-second cooldown before it activates again. Wow! Okay, that's a cool one. I mean, if you're at Act 6 Chapter 2, you should already be comfortable playing to a near perfect degree. And this is just saying play perfect or suffer. And I think that's really cool. Maybe not, maybe people will think that's not interactive, but it's essentially saying, you know, for 10 seconds, play perfect and punish at their shield. The only thing I hope is, as long as this kinetic shield does not act as an auto block, if it acts as an auto block, this is going to be bogus. Like, even if it's like auto block but no damage reduction, as long as you're still staggering every time you hit them, I don't see anything wrong with this. And I do wonder if this is damage from attacks, or if damage over time effects will carry over there as well. And then you've got Do Not Go Gentle. The attacker gains 1 charge for every 5 hits in their combo. When the defender receives damage from any source that would knock them out and the attacker has 1 or more charges, a charge is consumed and instead, and the attacker receives damage equal to the defender's attack. If the attacker intercepts the defender's attack, 2 charges are removed with no penalty. Landing a heavy attack also removes up to 1 charge with no penalty. I feel like this is going to be one where people have a lot of complaints about. I mean, initially, I'm like, that's a lot. But at the same time, this is kind of similar to Corvus Glaive's Glaive immunity, right? If you think of the number of charges you build up as similar to his number of glaives being reduced every time, like, he's got that can't be killed, and you subtracting glaives. So in that regard, it would come down to, you know, just reducing it by intercepting and landing heavy attacks. But at the end of the day, it's just essentially saying the enemy opponent has X extra health, right? Because if you're comboing 5 times into them and they're at 1% health, it's not so bad. So long as this isn't put on like something crazy where the defender has like a repeating regeneration effect, I think this should be relatively okay. I mean, all of these are going to be hard, right? I just think that there's a reasonable setback here. So the PI ranges you should expect here are 24,000 to 30,000 for Quest 1 with a boss of 50k, 26 to 32,000 on Quest 2 with a boss of 60k. There's a trend here. 28 to 34,000 with a boss of 70k on Quest 3. 30,000 to 36,000 with a boss of 80k on Quest 4. 32,000 to 38,000 with a boss of 90,000 on Quest 5. And 34,000 to 40,000 with a boss of 100k on Quest 6. So it's essentially, it's a base 24,000 to 30,000, which with each quest increasing by 2k as you move along, and a base boss rating of 50k with each quest increasing by 10,000 as you move along there. Finally, as for energy, there's quite a bit more. As for energy, all the quests in the Chapter 2 will have 3 energy per step, 10 paths. We know about the 4 rarity / class gates, and it will be approximately 600 energy for quest exploration. That does not say quest completion, so I am under the impression... Yeah, I mean, I am under the impression that means... No, exploration, I believe, is the term for full completion. So 600 energy for full completion would mean it's about 60 energy per path, which is perfectly reasonable, right? Let me just double check really quick in game. Yes, exploration is full. So you could finish this out. You could hammer out 3 paths a day without using refills. I think that's very friendly. I mean, not for people who are going for that Legends title, but for people who are not, this is something you could definitely do over time, and definitely reasonable. Now, this is something I think they did very well. So for Act 6, they've decided to redistribute the rewards over the chapters as opposed to a final completion / exploration of the act as a whole. So the act rewards are reduced, but you'll see those rewards in the form of rewards in the chapter completions. So when I go over this completion and exploration total reward, just keep in mind that it may not sound super juicy, but that is just because it's been reduced. So it is 30 times 5-star signature stone crystals, 180,000 gold, 99,000 tier 2 alpha catalyst fragments, and 540 units. And that is what you would get for completing all of the quests. But when you would complete Chapter 2, just the completion of the quest as a whole provides you with 22,500 tier 5 basic fragments, 4,000 6-star shards, 10,000 5-star shards, or essentially just a generic 5-star crystal, 1 5-star rank up gem from 3 to 4, 750,000 gold, 3 Cavalier crystals, and 1 tier 2 alpha catalyst. From what I understand with how difficult 6-star characters are to get, I would like to see this number to be a little bit higher, just as these chapters are coming out fairly slowly. You know, and even I can see that. And I don't blame them for coming out slowly. It's a lot of content to be made. There is the monthly event to be made. I just think that it wouldn't hurt to call this 5,000, 6,000. You know, at least make it half, right? But maybe that's just me. Maybe it'll progressively scale higher. Like maybe the next one will be higher. But they do accompany that with the full exploration, in which case they're trying to make it a full crystal. I do comment that here below. I just still think just the general completion could be half, and you could have a little carryover. But you do get 1 tier 5 class catalyst fragment, and it contains 25% of the tier 5 class catalyst, which is nice. This is a special crystal that contains 25%. Oh, it sounds like this is 25% of a tier 5 class crystal, as in when you get 4 of these, you will have a tier 5 class catalyst, not a fragment. So I believe this is something new that they are introducing to the game. You will then get 1 T5 basic, 6,000 6-star shards, or upon completion a full 6-star character, 15,000 5-star shards, or 1.5 5-stars, or a featured if you would so choose, 4 tier 2 alpha catalysts, 1.25 million gold, and 5 Cavalier crystals. Overall, I think the rewards are fair. I think part of it depends on what you're getting for completing each quest as you go. And yeah, I'm really interested to see this content. Unfortunately, I'm a ways away, so you won't be seeing me do it anytime soon. But there you go. That's what we'll see. At least that's the update we have for Act 6 Chapter 2, and I will talk to you later.